that was more akin with what I was expecting from the PC gaming show.
Yeah,
In terms of variety and but also that's because they were able to not just do PC games. So there were some console games in there as well. And there was, recognizable names like Sonic in here and yeah, I liked it.
It was interesting. I was not super fond of what we saw at the PC game showcase.
I think they leaned into a lot more of the niche, super niche PC genres this time. Like,
yeah, I mean, some of them were like, coming up with their own genres, basically, like blending a ton of genres
and
to create their own.
There really wasn't much gameplay stuff there either.
Yeah,
it was a lot of like cinematic trailers.
There wasn't much gameplay, and like, I wonder if because there was like the Wholesome Games showcase now and stuff like that, they don't
still got shifted
some of those same games. So like the types of games that I would play are no longer in the PC show.
Yeah,
because they've sort of like shifted over to these other ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a ton in both of those shows, and so I don't know that we necessarily go through everything.
We do not, because I have 5 pages of bullet points about the games from these 2 shows.
Feels like even more than I take notes. But we can try to quickly look through some highlights here. Let me pull up the PC gaming show first. And then I'll also pull up the Future Games show so we can just try to go through some of the highlights. And of course, you can expect some sort of article tonight. Again, I don't really know how that's going to manifest for me this time. It's still live. Okay, so we can just go back through it. But I have some ideas. I'm thinking maybe even we've done just listings. We did the tier list yesterday. Mm-hmm. It's still so hard to not make something that's listy. So I'm wavering behind. For sure I'm going to do some kind of highlighting article, but I'm thought of doing a jokey review of the day, like in the review style that Video Games Are Good has. And just a general, like, top 5, top 10.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So the PC gaming show, I was already looking at the notes, and immediately they had something I really was interested in.
Dodgeball Academia.
How did you know?
Because I can read your mind.
So this is Dodgeball Academia. It just looks super cool. It reminds me of the Mario tennis games on the Game Boy Advance, where there is this core sports thing going on, but also there's like an RPG mechanic too, where you're running around, you're interacting. There's clearly a story. The art style is super cool. Dodgeball is having a moment right now. Knockout City has been celebrated way more than I think anyone expected, and now this is coming out and it looks good. Yeah, this is more like the let me see if I can find the name of it. I think it might just be called Dodgeball on NES. Yeah, Super Dodgeball. It reminds me of that. Here, we have the ability to pull clips up here and let people know what's in my brain. So it reminds me of this. A game I loved as a kid. I loved the Game Boy Advance one in particular. But do you see what I mean? Like, it's a similar...
Yeah.
So that was one of my first highlights. Yeah. Again, looked like had just a really great art style and just super fun. story mixed in with everything else. I'd probably say my next one, hop in if you ever feel like you've got one that you want to highlight.
Will do.
I think my next one would be close to your next one as well. You just got to find it in here.
What are you looking for?
Wait, I missed it then. Where's my game? Let's go here. It's after this. Stop talking about PCs. Custom PCs were a big deal here, chat. It wasn't Humankind either. It wasn't this game either. Is your list all out of order?
No. What are you looking for? Just tell me.
I'm looking for Raw Men.
It's after Dying Light.
I just passed Dying Light.
Humankind is... It's in between
I
Dying Light
literally
and
ended...
Humankind.
It ended, and Dying Light ended, and it went into Humankind.
I took notes in order, so I don't know.
Is
what
it
to
before
tell you.
Dying Light?
Oh, it might be before Dying Light because they like teased it. They said, we're going to talk about Dying Light next. And then so I wrote it down. And then they went, but actually first, they did that several times. I was like, what the hell?
So yeah, Raw Man is a super fun game that I played a demo of when they had a multiplayer demo during the first ever Steam Game Fest, I think. And I mean, one, it's a genius name. It's not ramen like the food. It is Raw Men, and you play as these little chefs. It's got some like Splatoon vibes as you like leave a trail of your own soup behind you. It's just got some goofy mechanics. You know, you're throwing your soup dumplings out at people. You're throwing noodles out at people. You're getting into these big meatballs and rolling around. It's just
It's a silly little food fight.
fun. Yeah, silly little. That's a great way to put it.
Oh,
Silly
thanks.
little food fight.
Thank you, thank you.
But the one thing that was interesting in this was like, it seems like there are tons of different modes in here as well. It's not just the straight up combat. There seems to be like some racing going on. Fern mentioned there was like some mention of like working together, so there might be some fun co-op modes as well. But whenever you have a multiplayer based game, I'm always worried that it's not going to get enough of a player base, you know.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that when they were first bringing up the demo.
Yeah, and even in the demo, I was lucky to play, and I played with like 3 other people in the demo, and
It'll be different when the full game comes out, though.
Well, and I think that's the key is like a game like that on a Game Pass, a game like that on PlayStation Plus. That's when they thrive because people don't have to worry about investing in a game that may not have anyone in it. So you know.
Yeah, I think that's why part of the reason why KO City is doing well.
Yeah. Because it was on Game Pass, and it has a free trial up to a certain level. So
Yeah.
they'll get their hooks into you, and then you go, shit, now I gotta buy it, you know, or I'll get EA Play and get it. So many subscription services.
I know.
I'm so glad we are all signed up for Devolver Max Pass and automatically.
I was sort of interested in They Always Run.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking of going over to that. So They Always Run is this over here, right after this trailer.
I just think it had a cool style.
Yeah. I love it's a great title. So you're playing as a bounty hunter, so it's They Always Run, meaning your targets. They always run. Like it gives you this like disgruntled bounty hunter vibe, like, oh, damn it, they always run. Well, I'm going after them. So it started out with this cool looking animated trailer. But then look at this art style, chat. It's pixel art. I'm pretty sure, because there's moments where you can see the little tiny pixels, but they're tiny pixels. Usually, when you go with the pixel art style, they'll make them all chunky and obvious, you know. But this is like some dense clusters of pixels. See, on the lighting on the coat there, you know, it could just be the lighting style. I don't know. But it's got a really cool aesthetic. You know, do you want to hop in with what caught your eye about it?
Just the look.
Just the vibe.
Yeah, it's probably more one that I would watch you play.
I like
try it. But.
That was the moment where it clicked. I was like, oh, he has 3 arms. So that's a cool design, you know, choice for a character.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like we were mentioning, like it's funny title in a way. Curious to see what that plays like and stuff. So
yeah.
I'd say I'm curious, even though it didn't really necessarily show that well. I'm curious about Vampire the Masquerade. What was it? Swan Song. Looks like it's this. It almost gave me the vibes of a Life is Strange narrative game, you know, where you're just like kind of talking to folks and stuff, but then towards the end they showed that like 3 seconds of gameplay and the character was like dressed in like a disguise essentially looking, you know, while sneaking past some cops that were in like a with warning tape. And so I was like, okay, is it like a stealth Hitman-esque type thing? Like, what's going on here? And yeah, it seems like you're playing as a vampire trying to reunite with her daughter. So yeah, just like really don't have a ton of see, like you're dressed as a cop. I don't think you're a cop, and sneaking around. So I'm curious. Have little to no idea as to what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that's where you kind of have to leave it.
Yeah. You were interested in this one.
Yeah. Like just immediately, right? Look! The first thing you see is this jolly little guy. So right after Vampire Swan Song, funny enough, look at that guy, and then this guy, and then a mecha, and you're like, okay, hold on. And yeah, so it's this arena fighter that calls back to, you know, Godzilla, Power Rangers, where you're playing as these giant beasts and you're fighting each other and destroying a city while you're in the process of doing it. And it really brought to mind a game that I loved as a kid called We Are Monsters on the PS2. Or was it PS3? I don't know. I'll look it up to show you so you can, you know, see the frame of reference I have for it. But, I mean, it just looks like a fun, again, similar to the PS2. Similar to Party Animals earlier today, or what was it? Was it Party Animals?
Yeah.
You know, it's not a game I'm going to be like, oh, I can't wait to get pro at this game, but if I can buy it for $15 and, like, play with my friends on the couch, you know? Which is a thing that doesn't happen anymore, but still, you know, I'm all in. I'm all in for that. So, yeah, and just the vibes and the goofy aesthetic of, you know, combining all these different eras. Is it War of the Monsters? We Are Monsters. So you can see here, straight up, very similar. Like a giant mecha versus a King Kong-esque enemy, and you're destroying a city while you fight one another. It's just, you know, just goofy fun.
I can see that reference.
So that looked good. That looked good to me. And that, what was that called again?
Gigabash.
Gigabash. Oh god, this section had a lot of really interesting things. I feel like the next, at least 2, I want to bring up a little bit of.
Go for it.
The next one was Lemnis Gate. They called this a first-person shooter turn-based strategy game. And so you're like, wait, how do those things mesh, right? Like, first-person shooter means I'm walking around and shooting stuff actively. How do I do that and also take turns and have strategy? And so the way it works is you play 25 seconds at a time as each of your different characters that you have. So 25 seconds, I go forward and I throw a grenade. your next 25 seconds, you run forward, you dodge my grenade. My next 25 seconds, I bring another character in, I do this, and then you just layer all of that on top of each other until you come out as the last person standing. And that's just such an interesting concept for, this is probably, when it comes to just pure gameplay, probably one of the most interesting and exciting things I've heard all E3. Just because, I would love to sit in that and mess around with it for a while, It's super different.
So did they say, is that, player versus player?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but you're controlling, 4 or 5 different people at the same time.
Okay.
So you have a squad. Yeah, Ragamuffin, you put yourself in a bad spot and then get to watch someone aim at your head. You go, shit, my 25 seconds ended and I was standing out in the middle of the field,
That
But then,
would be me.
but then at the same time, you can almost take that as bait, right? And so, as soon as that guy comes and locks in on you, okay, my next 25 seconds, I'm going to send someone else out there. They said you can, stop something else from happening if you can get to the person in time. So say I can get over and shoot the person that just shot my guy and stay alive, So it's super interesting concept, and it has a very I remember when we were watching it, we were like, it doesn't look like it would aesthetically, the graphics and the vibes, but it has a very goofy vibe. They were kind of the characters were kind of going, very cheeky and laughing at each other, calling out to each other. So that's kind of fun too for the genre. And then I know this next game you were vaguely interested in. Is this one you want to highlight or no?
It was somewhat interesting. Don't know necessarily that I'd highlight it, but can if you want to.
It's called Next Space Rebels, and there's a lot of these spaceship building games out there nowadays. It kind of all started and got really popular with Kerbal Space Program, and so you're doing that, and you're uploading your rocket creations to the internet and earning money as you do that to slowly upgrade your rocket ship building abilities as you go. Mm-hmm. And so it literally starts, as you'll see here in a second, it literally starts with a bottle rocket. But then as you go, you upgrade and get higher and higher and higher and higher, and that's cool. And I think the other big thing with the title Next Space Rebels, one of the big things about it is kind of taking space and making it, for the people versus for the Elon Musks of the world and the Jeff Bezos who all want to go into space. It's taking it and making it punk. Space punk. DIY space punk game. Yeah?
Sure.
Cool.
My next one would be wherever it is, Silt. I just saw it.
I don't think it's on here.
Oh
no, okay, there it is. Yeah, we'll go to Silt. There's a few others in there I really like, but we'll go ahead to Silt.
You can show whatever ones you want.
I know, but now it's getting to the point where I'm doing I'm just skipping one game at a time, and we're trying to get through it.
There it is. I found it.
Where are you in the video, Silt? Okay, I will shout out this one because a game that I've always been interested in but never been able to play is called Crusader Kings, and it's one where you're managing a kingdom, and that's down to your heir and who's being aligned with who in the grand regional partnerships and who's getting married and who's that. And so this looks like a very approachable version of that game because you matchmake people, get them to seduce each other. That's hilarious. Did you see that? The button at the bottom, it says seduce. That's interesting. So they all have things they like and want, and they all have things they hate, dislike, and so you can see that Ariola loves peasants and people with high constitution, but also nobles and people with high baking skills. They both dislike males completely, which, don't blame them. So yeah, interesting, like making the couples, running this village, making babies, and then creating a legacy is one of the things they highlighted in this. And so I think it's a fun, it's a lot of menus, and I know some people don't like that. They want something more tangible. But I think with this art style and everything else going on in here, like it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
Slightly more engaging than others that I've seen.
I know. I keep trying to convince, and there are these things too, which are kind of cool, reminiscent of. Remember the Yogg?
Kinda.
Yeah, like where you're making decisions that alter also your characters, goals and lives. Yeah, that one was pretty intriguing to me. Silt after this long mech warrior, correct? I'll let you take the lead here. Again, voices dying.
Silt is I like this sort of like black and white sepia type of look. It's like very plain, kind of bleak.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like transitioning into these little aquatic creatures, and they're helping you to solve the little puzzles you need to solve to get wherever you're needing to go.
That one's so sad, I
don't
just
know
realized.
where that is, but
because it's like this one, you possess a little fish just to sacrifice it to this. Oh, I see what's going on. They went down here, they got poisoned or something by that thing, and then the thing eats the poison and dies, and now you can get past.
I see.
So yeah. Lots of just figuring out the connection between all these animals and then possessing them to get through.
It's got a little bit of spookiness.
Yeah, it's definitely
probably a manageable amount, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a horror experience that I think you could like anyone could probably get through and handle.
Yeah.
I do have a fear of the deep ocean. So some of that stuff was spine chilling, like the giant mouth that you were just swimming through at one point.
Yeah, that's a little uncomfy.
And there's a few shots of like things leaping out and getting you like that. Ugh, getting you. But I'm intrigued, and I'm curious, like, what's the deal? What's this character's deal? Like, there's, this going on right now, right here. Is this what this being is actually? This giant snake thing that's like trapped inside this diver's body or something? I'm intrigued.
Who knows?
So yeah, keep an eye on Silt. That looks pretty cool. Let's see next. Yeah, see, there's a big patch here that's kind of boring. They had Hello Neighbor 2. We've seen that before. It's just the same trailer. If anything, the one we saw before was more engaging because it was explaining in like pretty basic terms like how the interesting like learning AI works for the game. And then they had Jurassic World Evolution 2. We've seen that again, and this was even less than. So the first time was the reveal at the Summer Games Fest. Here, it was nothing. And then at least they had gameplay at the later event. So that was, There was, the New Blood Interactive is cool. They have a bunch of fascinating games they showed. And then it was Valve. And then it was just a long stretch of things we were both like, And that kind of dragged this one down quite a bit. I think really it goes all the way towards the end here where I have my next one.
I was vaguely interested here, and I think that's probably my last one.
The next one that got both of us was Tinykin. This character is trying to find some planets to teleport to, decides to go. And actually, I guess what we realized here, I was wondering, like, does the character shrink? But I think, actually, the character is just tiny, Because we're in their spaceship, so we don't know what it looks like. And so they teleport in, and whoop, there they go. And guess what? they're a tiny little lad in a world.
Or they're regular size,
and
this is a planet where everything is giant.
Could be. But yeah, so you're it's a fun little. If it's almost like, so Ragamuffin and I were saying, oh, it's Pikmin, which is, a game about using little buddies to help you interact with the world and do tasks for you by just the sheer number of buddies you got. But also, it reminds me of Chibi Robo, which is another Nintendo franchise, which is about a little robot cleaning robot that comes to live with a family and help them, and is tiny and interacting with an environment like this, a house, in much the similar way as Tinykin here. What's your perspective?
Just all of that. It looks like a cute game. I don't know.
Yo, that's cool. It's a yo-yo. It's like a yo-yo that they use to fly around the world there. Yeah, and then, I mean, they had Wandering Village on here again, which is a game I'm really interested in, but didn't show anything new.
Nothing new. And a much shorter clip even than we've seen before.
I guess the last thing I would want to bring up here is a game I have been following on Twitter. Its development, and it is coming to early access very soon. Is this pixel shooter RPG called Death Trash. See, I just love fascinating stats here, to put into in the beginning of the game. Hardiness, strength, finesse, occultism, cybertech, and empathy. I think empathy is probably just charisma. Cybertech is probably just tech, that like in most games you get points in tech, and then occultism's points in magic, but just like, changing it up, changing the flavor of it a little bit is nice. And yeah, I mean, look at this intro. You puke and then you pick it up. Like, what is happening? And yeah, I was surprised because I thought this was very much a Fallout 1 and 2 like game, and come to find out in a moment here, no, it's actually this like action shooter, isometric shooter that looks not only, the style of it's really cool, but it looks like it flows really nicely too, and just handles well. Like I can tell that it doesn't feel weird to play, Do you have any thoughts on it? Probably not much. I think the same way that I saw the character puke and then pick it up and said, "Oh, that's cool and delightful," you said, "Yeah, not for me."
Yeah, probably.
The vibes are like this scene in particular. I remember perking up. Well, okay, But yeah, that was the PC gaming show's biggest highlights for us. When that is all that it ends up being, the highlights end up being just those things, like pretty disappointing on the whole, considering how many how in the past there was tons of great things in the PC gaming show.
Yeah.
There's still a charming wraparound presentation to it where, they're playing these characters, they're in space, there's an AI robot fighting back, so the story continues. The robot has now killed them all, or at least a part of them, and now it's out for revenge, so next year we'll see what that manifests into. But yeah, a fairly average presentation, probably honestly under, if I were to slot them in all in a top 10 ranking or something, it'd probably go under Ubisoft and stuff. So that's kind of a disappointment, considering Ubisoft was kind of very
Yeah.
But moving on now to the Future Games show. This was a lot better. I think we were saying right after, just moments ago, this is what we thought the PC gaming show would be more like. It had a little more variety in I get it comes back to its variety in the things we're interested in, so that helps, versus the PC gaming show had a decent amount of variety as well. A little more shooter heavy there for sure.
Yeah.
At the PC gaming show.
So.
But you know, still some unique stuff going on there.
Shooter heavy and like war, like World War II and war simulation heavy.
There was a game called War Tales, for God's sake. But yeah, the Future Game Show definitely felt like what we were expecting from the PC gaming show all along. So good on them. I honestly thought it was going to be the other way around, and I was dreading
me too.
the Future Game Show a little bit. Yeah, so where do you want to go first here?
It's up to you. I honestly am kind of interested in the very first game that they showed.
Yeah, we'll check it out, because it is, I think it's worth talking about because it was so strange.
I can look up and see if there's more about it.
Yeah, do that while I'll let the beginning of the trailer run here for folks. It's called Instinction. And so it's immediately out the gate, right? We were kind of confused because the presenters, Troy Baker and Ashley Bailey? No. Laura Bailey.
Is it? I wrote Abby.
Because I told you it was Abby from Last of Us.
Oh.
Laura Bailey. They said, oh, first up, we have a game that's prehistoric. And you're like, okay, dinosaurs, cool. And then this is the first shot. And you're like, wait, what? You know, hold on.
It's a spaceship.
This is a spaceship. This is not a not spaceship. Okay, interesting. So, Fern's pulled up an article, and the first two things I've latched onto are it is an open world, but it's also got some survival horror elements because these humans are being hunted by the dinosaurs. They kind of hint at that in the trailer, right? You had caught that I didn't.
Caught what?
What it had said in the trailer were like, I was trying to tee it up, but it was a while ago, so you might not. It said we came to protect them, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like, you know, the humans were like, hey dinos, what's up? And then, no, the dinos are here to kill you. Fuck off, humans. Go away. But yeah, I mean, if you want to hop in with your thoughts.
I mean, that's actually less interesting to me. They're calling it a shooter in here. So I guess, you know, it's like attacking the dinosaurs.
Well, there was lots of guns in the footage.
I know. But it was also like a space thing. You know, I thought maybe it would be like you are protecting them from some sort of like alien force, I don't know. From some sort of planetary threat.
I mean, this very much shows like I'm hiding from this dinosaur, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still interesting. Like, that's uncommon for a shooter, but yeah, it would have been neat if it was like you were working with them from something.
Well, it sounds like you want to play the game Ark, starring Vin Diesel.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
it still looks cool.
Yeah, it still looks cool, and then I think you don't usually hear open world and survival horror together.
Right.
Survival horror is usually very like a guided, linear experience where they want to, you know, get you right around the corner with the spooks. But like, you know, the idea of like wandering through the open world and then like, oh shit, I just stumbled on like a dino. I have to fucking hide right now. It's hunting me now. You know, like that's kind of cool. And yeah, I'm curious. And like, I mean, it said we came here to help them, and like they're not leaving, right? Like they could just leave again, couldn't they? Theoretically,
could still be some sort of interesting story behind that.
We had seen Grow Song of the Evertree, but we had kind of you know, talked about that before.
Yeah, we've seen that one.
And I don't want to like spend too much time on it, but where is it? It's after this. The boxing game? I don't want to spend, like, it's not the like most exciting thing in the world, but boxing games have kind of fallen to the wayside. If anything, UFC has replaced them. And, you know, I think I always liked the boxing games because it was just like, it reminded me of like the very intense was it Bushido Blade? I don't think it was Bushido Blade. But it reminds me of like very intense samurai fighting games that they used to be, where one slash and you're dead, you know? And so like the same way where like any punch that you get hit with, you know, like, you know, that's sending you that much closer to getting knocked out, right? And so like I always appreciated boxing games for that reason. And so to see a one that's indie and trying to bring it back is pretty cool. And it genuinely does, you know, this again, the stream is not the highest quality, but the animation here is not bad, and like it looks fairly realistic. So good on this team. I've never heard of them. Weird name, Esports Boxing Club. Like, it was just a strange name, but yeah, just wanted to shout out.
And it's pretty cool, like, for being more indie, it has like a very large base, right? Of
like
fighters.
Hundreds of fighters.
200 fighters. And it also is literally the first ever women's division represented in a video game they mentioned, which is very sad. But
ridiculous.
Good.
I think that's also some level of how the boxing games went away, you know, and so like no one was making them and no one had as much of a chance to bring it up. It's still bad. It's still sad. Because the UFC games do have the women fighters in there as well, and I think you can even play as women fighters against the men. So that's cool too. Usually they separate that out, you know. Yeah. Next, we've seen it a few times and we've talked about it quite a bit already on our streams and in our documents, but I know.
What's that about to be?
I think probably up there.
Here?
Yeah. Fern just in their notes for the boxing game right after some of it said World War II experience, and I was like, I don't think that's right.
The right game.
But yeah, we've talked about it a lot. We've gushed about it a lot, but Lake coming in here with a cute little trailer showing some of the non-post office work you'll be doing in the game, including some character interactions. You'll like they mentioned in the trailer during was that the wholesome, or was that at the, where was that?
I think it was wholesome.
They like said about like, you know, making a bunch of relationships with the people in town. So this is kind of like showcasing one of those relationships.
Yeah, this was a great trailer because it showed us something new.
Yeah. Because so far we've really just seen her delivering.
Yeah.
The writing's a little weird and goofy here, but it's cute. It does say Disney.
That's what I thought.
They're gonna get sued. But yeah, you know, short little update there. It's coming in September, so you know, not too much to talk about. But intrigued. Where are we going next?
And enjoy the rest of the show.
I don't know. My next one would be Kiwi, but we've already seen that in multiple showcases. It did show some. It was new to me, at least, some of those more specific aspects.
Yeah, you know, I shout out to Kiwi just for being. I'll just put this on in the background because I want to shout it out. They had a section called the Future Hits, and this was just a bunch of indies that they said they really want a spotlight, but then they put together in one segment. So it's like kind of goofy to say, yeah, we really want you to pay attention to these, and then we hide them away.
Is this the one that had the paper one? Because I was interested in that one.
It might do. No, that was in the demos from earlier. Do you want me to go back?
Oh, no, it's fine.
But yeah, just all of these games we'd seen somewhere, except for the dice one and this Iron Corbo. It just looks funky in all the right ways. And I love dice drafting board games, and that seems cool. You're like running a town and presumably rolling a dice at the beginning of each day and like assigning the dice throughout your town, which is kind of fun. I love these weird niche sim games too that are out in the world. And so Ranch Sim, it's kind of weird that you're walking up to hunting a deer with a pistol out. And Shim, yeah, like this one I just have started seeing recently being shared out on Twitter and stuff, and
that does look neat.
Look really cool puzzle platformer where you're jumping through shadows. You're a shadow yourself, and the only way you can navigate through the world is through shadows. They keep showing this game. At least we got some new footage here.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't know what is happening. Like, what is the actual game? But yeah, shout out to all of those games. Getting a quick little teaser here in the... Okay.
Here, I got a description.
Okay.
Check it out at last.
Yes, we can shout it out here. Play the demo. Hold on.
Ooh.
Wait, this is something else. Is this the same game?
I don't know.
Fern has pulled up a page for a game called Dome King Cabbage, which is the name of the game. But when we look at it, it is something completely different. I guess it's the game. Wow, that's
so the game
twist.
Looks different than what we've seen so far.
The game is a visual novel set in a monster collecting RPG. I don't know if the game's changed or what, because the visuals that we've been seeing in the trailers of like, so Dome King Cabbage. Just here, I'll just like rewind here. Is this game, right? This like kind of toy aesthetic that we've been seeing is not at all what we just saw when we Googled it, which
entirely different.
It has like a pastel,
pastel visual novel, like line art.
Yeah, aesthetic, and it's a visual novel. And
a cloud person named Mush, nervously making their way to a job interview, has to grapple with their ability to perceive the world through the lens of a monster collecting RPG.
When they say that, you go up on the screen. When they say through the lens of a monster collecting RPG, the first image they have looks like the start screen of Pokemon Red. So they mean Pokemon when they say through the lens of a monster collecting RPG.
Okay.
Continue the description because there's one part that's interesting.
It's the first chapter in an episodic interactive fiction series.
So that makes me wonder if this is separate entities. It's got the same name, but this is chapter 1 and it's a visual novel that looks like, and then maybe this is chapter 2.
Nowhere has mentioned.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know. It could be that these are cutscenes.
So interesting.
In your experience in Dome King Cabbage. I mean, this could be the monster collecting, right?
Yeah.
These could be the monsters, and or just maybe the game has changed drastically from where it started.
Very fascinating.
Who knows? Yeah, you end up Googling that game, and suddenly you don't know what is going on.
Well, guess we'll find out someday.
But I mean, it's definitely, I think it's one of the most intriguing games of E3. I think several people have been shouting it out as one to keep an eye out on, and I mean for good reason. But if it does turn out the game does not really look like this, I think that'll be super disappointing for folks. So I'm curious to see what the balance is here. Yeah, we were talking about shouting out Kiwi. Sonic Colors was in here too, and again, I want to check that out. I love good Sonic games are good. So, shout out to that. But Kiwi is very much, it felt like when I first saw it, tapping into the big overcooked, do a bunch of really multitasking together and communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just going to be about sorting mail at a post office, but this trailer showed a ton more, and you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I liked that it has like sort of changing elements. It looked like it was seasonal, based on sort of like weather. There were like little tornado threats messing up the office, and
just generally
like that coming in.
And generally, like, you're doing different things. Like, this is one big part of it. You make these little letters through these pieces of words, and then you deliver them. But then on top of that, they mentioned, like, sometimes you're typing out a letter together. You're packaging shipping crates, you know, so, like, there's a ton going on here.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much,
tasks.
different types of encounters, while a game like Overcooked is the same framework, and then they mix up, like, how you approach those things. But here it's, like, straight up different styles of each level.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by Kiwi. I've been keeping an eye on that one for a long time, so I hope I get to check that out very soon.
Could be a good duo stream one.
For sure.
And that one is coming out in August. The end of August.
I'll just shout out this one really quick. That was during the Team 17 montage. Honey, I Joined a Cult. Just great title for a game, and then I'm assuming it looks like it's just a management sim, you know, like it reminds me of Prison Simulator. Like,
so it's a cult simulator?
I think you're running the cult.
Oh god.
So that's fascinating. True cult of multi-level marketing. I'm selling makeup, and I need everyone else to sell makeup for me. We got to see more Harold Halibut, which we had seen at the Tribeca Games Showcase and really loved what we had seen there. And this is cool because this is, I think, the first time we saw gameplay this week. Actual gameplay, because you could actually see UI elements coming up and stuff, you know, and it's just a stunning looking game. With again, everything that you see on screen was built hand built by the developers, and then scanned into the game using photogrammetry and turned into 3D models. And so that's why it looks like stop motion, but it's not. It's motion captured animation, so it looks so much more fluid than you would normally get from stop motion creations. And so, like, I think that is like such a huge, like, I remember first seeing it and I was like, whoa, how did they do that? You know, how did they get that stop motion so fluid? And it's like, oh, it's not technically stop motion. So
very cool show of artistry.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, some different gimmicky gameplay segments, you know, cool stuff. Honestly, yeah, this is where PC Gaming Show didn't really have this back to back, like, interesting looking games. After this was, you know, as much as it is horrifying, was this game happy game? It's a happy game. It's nothing horrifying happening here. You're just a nice little kid. Oh God, you know. So it's this point and click adventure puzzle game. I'd seen someone play this on a stream one time, and yeah, it's very abstract puzzles that you're getting through here, and everything is very horrifying as you're doing it, you know. There's like a part where you're like moving cups, and underneath are things that you're trying to figure out, like how to get them to you, and then, you know, every once in a while you move a cup and there's a dead body inside of it or something, you know. It's that kind of thing. A subversion, of course, immediately. It's called Happy Game, and this is what we got instead, you know.
Yeah, I will not be picking this one up.
But you have to appreciate the artistry. Right?
Maybe. You can appreciate the artistry.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You might appreciate the artistry. You might not.
And then right after that, another game that kind of blends happy vibes with pretty horrifying things at the same time.
Yeah, this one is more my speed, though. It's like, you can stomach it.
Yeah, is Minute of Islands. And this was another, the other surprise to this was that it's out now.
Yeah.
So this came out today. And yeah, it looks like a fun little adventure game where you're working through this island, dealing with some giant sea beasts and giant corpses of giant people and
going around fixing a broken world.
a lot of fun. Yeah, very good call there. Edge comic book art. Like this looks like a European comic, you know, like that you never heard of, that you see in a bookstore when you're like, wow, what is that? Well, no to that thing, 100%. But one of the things I really liked was the blended animals that we got. So they got the foxolotl, and I think there was like a deer squirrel as well that I had seen. So that looks really great, and it's out today, so you can check it out right away. There's just so much. There's even in this one that felt lighter, still had so much. I think probably 2 or 3 that I can see on my list. How about you? Yeah. Well, actually, those in the one right after.
That.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do these 2 and then these 2.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the other one, so they had Dying Light 2 showed up again, which was fucking ridiculous. It just showed up in the PC Game Show.
And I saw more than I ever needed to see.
And they didn't. What did they show? You know, I can't even remember. So this is Ollie Ollie World.
It was an interview, I think.
That's right. They were like asking questions.
Yeah. It was literally like they didn't show anything, and they were like, "So, following up on what we saw at the PC Gaming Show."
So I want to shout out Ollie Ollie World too, because like I said, I got obsessed with the first Ollie Ollie, right? And that's because it came out before people started making skateboard games again. You know, like I think now skateboard games are pretty common. We got Skatebird, we had the Tony Hawk remake, we had all kinds of stuff. Skateboard games are back, you know. But Ollie Ollie started the trend, I'll say. And yeah, it's a side-scrolling.
On the record.
On the record, Ollie Ollie started it. It's a side-scrolling skate adventure where you're just doing these sessions. Getting to the, you know, you start at the top of a hill and you're getting to the bottom and you're trying to get as many points as possible while you do it. This one seems to be adding layers to the experience where you can, you know, go off to paths up and down. You're you know, taking vert ramps to get down to lower parts of the stage. It just looks really good, and it seems like it has a story too, which is really cute. And I also appreciate that the objectives aren't just skate, right? There's a part later on where it says scare 5 deers or something, and so like there's unique things going on alongside the skating, and it just has a cool aesthetic.
Yeah.
So you know, shout out Ollie Ollie.
Great.
Curious to see the full game when that comes out later this winter. After this was
some of the environment Cat said has Adventure Time vibes.
I think funny enough, I think Kat actually sent that earlier and meant for Minute of Islands, but also it goes for both, I think, in a way. And I actually agree with the Adventure Time, because with Minute of Islands, if we go back to that for just in our brains here in a second, you know, like thinking back to the Lich in Adventure Time and how horrifying he looked sometimes, and like, but then there was Jake and Finn there being adorable, you know, and so like that blending of horrifying and colorful and cool at the same time. Yeah. This one, I just want to find out more about it, because yeah, it has this really fun, and this is a one time, again, when it has a cool concept, a cool conceit. That's when I want to know about the lore. And so mice and rats versus frogs in this like kingdom thing. Okay, I'm in. So I was kind of tuning into the lore going on here, and so you know, it's rats versus frogs. They slaughter the frogs, but then the frogs come back mightier than ever and slaughter the rats and take over, and you're left alone, the new king of a dead rat kingdom, and you have to figure out how to like save the day again. So I'm curious what the gameplay is like, actually, because there's no gameplay in here. But it's definitely intriguing for sure. Good art here as well. And then for our last two, it's the actual last two of the show, and it is. Gotta find it. So I'll let you start this one. Wait, is this it? No, it's not. Dang it! Here it is. You can go ahead and start this.
Yeah, this is like a private investigator, detective type of game, or I guess a former private investigator. Is sort of like observing his neighborhood from his window, and his daughter, who's a current private investigator, is working on this mystery, this case of
Missing girl.
an abducted young girl. And it's really, we talked about it, it's really reminiscent of the Flower Collectors, which we played on stream a while ago. So yeah, just sort of this like place-based observation of the neighborhood, trying to help tie the clues together.
Yeah, it's got this
like an edgy, grainy
tortured former detective, you know.
Is off the job, but still trying to help out with it.
I'm curious, you know, when they bring up the daughter and they show the daughter, there's that one shot where it's like the dad off looking this way and the daughter looking the other way, and they're talking about, you know, they're both investigating this thing. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if that implies that occasionally you will be able to play as the daughter and like go out and do the more hands-on investigating. Or if it'll be like the Flower Collectors, where you do have like a partner who, like, from your window, you can kind of help guide around like the space.
Radio or phone based.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pretty much any detective game I'm in, because games that just require you to really try to like solve the mystery. Any game that makes me break out a piece of paper and write some stuff down, I'm all for. And that kind of perfectly ties into the one last thing that the Future Games Show had. It's from a developer that had Fern and I breaking out several pieces of paper once before. I think
a whiteboard once too.
The last game we played of his. So the developer is Sam Barlow. He made the games Her Story and what was the other one? Telling Lies.
Yes.
And so both games are about. So Her Story was you're going through the footage of an interrogation of a woman and trying to figure out what the crime was, what happened, who she is. And the only way you do that is by searching one-word terms into a database that goes through like the transcription of each video. And so like if she said the word love, you look that up and you can find all the clips that say love. And so that was a game where we had notebook upon notebook out writing down like, okay, we know her name now. We know now she had a sister and here's her name. And then, oh wait, that sister was actually just a fake story she was telling, you know, like, and unraveling from there. And then we played Telling Lies, the follow-up game. And that one followed several characters. It had, 3 or 4?
Something like that.
I think it had 3 or 4 different people. And you were accessing all the video files from their phones. You were like an FBI agent or something, and you were going through all the video files from their phones, investigating a big. You as a player, you didn't know what was going on, but I think as the character was investigating a particular thing, and so you're kind of unraveling what even you're investigating. And then finding the connections between these characters and why they knew each other, how they knew each other. And yeah, that one, I remember we sat down to play one night and we expected it to be like Her Story, which was a game we beat in like 2-3 hours or something. Ended up playing for like 9 hours in one sitting. And we started playing pretty late in the day too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a whiteboard with a like character web thing where we were like making all these connections and stuff. And so with that all in mind, right? Like that's clearly engaging our minds in some other way, some fascinating way. Like just the idea of that person making something new is exciting, and it's so funny because when I saw this text, it felt familiar to me. Like Telling Lies, it was also like just very bold, just words, and like I was intrigued right away. Thought it could have been him. So yeah, it's a story about Marissa Marcel, an actress who made 3 movies, and she's
a writer from Queen's Gambit,
a writer from Mr. Robot and Maniac, I really like, and a writer from Wild at Heart and Lost Highway, which I think are 2 David Lynch things.
Are they?
Wow. Wild, wow, holy shit. So yeah, you're investigating the disappearance of this actress Marissa Marcel. And says she made 3 movies and then she disappeared. You got 3 writers. I imagine each one wrote one of these movies potentially. And I guess maybe you watch clips of the movies, maybe some of this behind the scenes stuff, maybe, I don't know, to try to investigate what happened to her. It would make sense that that's what you're doing because
I'm 17 years old and it's my dream to be an actor.
Because that's what both Telling Lies and her story had in common, is you were watching actual clips of an actor and like sorting through them.
It's just one of the most compelling ways to do a video game to me.
Yeah. Especially in all of those games, the key thing is you go in knowing nothing.
Yeah.
You go in knowing just no possible thing. And you have to just unravel and unravel and unravel. And like I said, the way both of them worked is you were like looking up key terms or whatever. And so you would just like, where do we even fucking start, And you didn't even know characters' names. Like you had to figure that out. Like, and so.
And then you're just following a web of like their connections, their thoughts.
Yeah. And so this is an interesting take on the whole thing too. Having it be these movies, and I'm curious, because if it is just you watch the movie, that's not the person, and that's not. So maybe you have footage of like they would call cut, but the cameras are still rolling or something, and you get some of that going.
That could be cool.
I'm curious if it's going to have that same searching mechanic or not. I at this point I'm in for whatever this guy does. I'm following Sam Barlow into the depths, like let's go.
Let's go. I'm holding your hand.
I mean, even we talked about her story in Telling Lies, right? Silent Hill Shattered Memories is one of the best Silent Hill games that's come out in a long time. That series has kind of died out, and Silent Hill Shattered Memories was a super cool take on Silent Hill, which had you like in between sessions of the gameplay, you were having these visits with the therapist. And depending on what you talked to the therapist about, it changed what was happening in the Silent Hill parts of the game. And so it would be like, oh yeah, I'm most scared of spiders. And then you would get into the game and spiders would start showing up more. And so, yeah, it was this really cool, like you would color in parts. They would be like, as part of some kind of therapy, they'd have like coloring therapy, and they would have you color in, drawings, and then characters would come to you wearing those colors that you'd colored, and he has clearly unlocked some part of his brain that allows him to make the most creative games out there. And so I'm curious. I just hearing that before anything else, you're curious about it. I kind of want to look at these a little bit. So we have Ambrosio is her first movie, Robert Jones, Sophia Morcana, Marissa Marcel, The Most Tempting Night Since Eve?
Sight Since Eve?
Sight Since Eve? Potential. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Adam and Eve.
I think.
Yeah. And then Minsky. She inspired his greatest artworks. Now she's making a killing. A John Durick picture. Marissa Marcel, Carl Greenwood. They're just trying to already, start picking the story apart here. And 2 of everything. I was hoping, they're on the top. Okay, so we're already putting some together. Marissa Marcel, Amy Archer, Larry Godwin, a film by John Durick. So same director in the second and third. Potentially the same in the first as well, but maybe not. So already, I'm ready. I'm ready for you, Sam Barlow. I'm gonna be looking up John Durick right away, and trying to figure out what role he had in her disappearance. I am curious before we really wrap up here. Before we wrap up on the show and on Marissa Marcel. That's just the name of the game, right? Marissa Marcel. No, it's Immortality. The last game had some Hollywood actors. It had an actor from Westworld. It had some others, and so that were had done some Hollywood stuff before. So I'm curious to see if there is. Okay, the first movie is not by. So they have a Steam page. The first movie is not by that same director, so that's already suspicious. John Durick, I'm suspicious of you. Did 2 movies with her, and then now she's missing. But yeah.
Oh, interesting. They're released, or the movies are created over several decades. 1968, 1970, and 1999.
So, well, this is now the Immortality showcase hour. They on the Steam page they have descriptions for each of the movies. So 1968, Ambrosio. Alan Fisher directs Ambrosio, his adaptation of M.G. Lewis's notorious Gothic novel The Monk. He casts unknown Marissa Marcel as the infamous Matilda. So very artsy film. First thing, and she gets the big break of her career. Then 2 years later, she does Minsky in 1970. John Durick writes his thriller Minsky with Marcel in mind. So that's an intriguing twist there too. He wrote the movie for her. Set in New York City, the movie concerns the death of a famous artist, and Marissa stars as the muse suspected of murdering him. Maybe setting it up the other way around. He's a famous artist and he killed his muse. Who knows? And then in 1999, 29 years later, so she doesn't make a movie for 29 years. For his swan song, Durick teams up with Marcel again as she returns from a lengthy hiatus. The movie Two of Everything is a subversive thriller which explores the duality between a successful pop star and her body double. So that's this one here. I mean, these 3 movies sound fascinating on their own as movies, so I hope we get to see at least chunks of them,
That would be cool.
But already an intriguing, 29-year gap right here. There's 2 years between this and then 29 here, and it's the same guy. It's his final movie, and he brings Marissa Marcel back. Intriguing plot there.
I'm curious how this works because none of her movies were ever released. So
yeah,
how is she known?
Yeah, none of these movies is ever released. They are thought to be lost or destroyed. Well,
I mean, maybe she did TV or something.
That's true. That's true. If the first movie never came out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's Hollywood, right? The directors communicate potentially, and
maybe
this Marissa Marcel, she's great. And then at the bottom here it says 2022, and then it's just a lot of blocked out words. Barlow, custodian, and concordance are the only words allowed there. So I'm assuming it didn't say that. I don't think, right? It didn't say in the trailer that it was going to be coming out in 2022, but it seems like that's the hint there, is that it's coming out 2022.
That could be.
No word as to who the potential actor is here. Disappointing. I wanted to deep dive into them, but yeah, no, I highly recommend checking out Sam Barlow's work, her story in Telling Lies. Just really, oftentimes I talk to people that aren't really into games, and I'm talking to them about these experiences that I have, and I think these 2 games in particular are ones that folks that even have no interest in gaming could really sink their teeth into and have a good time with.
Because it has aspects of literature or, cinema.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just kind of a method of storytelling.
Yeah. And it's a chilling experience in both times, because as you're unraveling stuff, you'll find that one clip where something they say or something they do, you're like, holy oh my god, I don't even want to search the next term that I think I should search, because I don't want to see what might happen here, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that is what games are about, you know? Like, that's some good vibes. But yeah, that is day 2 officially, day 4 for us.
Of E3.
Wrapping up for E3 here.
The great video game extravaganza.
Pretty good day. I feel like I'm discrediting Microsoft, but the more I think back on it, and the more I think back at what was revealed there, like there's a lot to really like there.
Microsoft was a really good one, actually.
Yeah, like the more you think, the more it like settles in, right? Like, I think in the moment it was like, okay, that was pretty fun, and I think there's some level of like, I wanted the big Halo blowout, I wanted, you know, Starfield gameplay, I wanted, you know, and but the more it settles in, you go, you know what, that was a really, really great showcase of games. And then PC gaming, whilst underwhelming, still had some really interesting things in there as well. And then Future Game Show surprising us here at the end, and having some really interesting games all throughout. So yeah, an interesting day. Tomorrow, nothing interesting going on.
It could be interesting, but
we won't be here.
We don't know yet if it'll be interesting.
Oh my god, blinding us now is my screen.
Why the heck is it so bright?
So tomorrow, you'll see here, let me just, whoop, whoop. I gotta shrink the screen so that it's legible. Whoop. Okay. They have Verizon is doing something and television's doing something. I found out that I was excited about this, right? Because Take-Two Interactive, they have a ton of games under their label, and so I said, "Ooh, Take-Two, you gonna show me something?" It's a panel about diversity in gaming, which is cool, but not gonna be any games announced. I don't even know what Mythical Games is. There's an indie showcase, but it's 30 minutes long. So I don't think we'll stream it. I think we'll just watch it and let you know if there's anything fun there.
Yeah, Raggle mentioned there was something they were interested in.
Well, now
they be showed there.
They were thinking it might actually be on Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then the Capcom presentation is also a big exciting deal there, because there could be some fun announcements, but they have tried to temper expectations, I think, a little bit. They said there's going to be updates on a lot of things that are already out. So Capcom has the potential for some big news, but I think they're trying to keep it low key.
Yeah, sometimes updates can be exciting too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Some of that today.
Yeah, like Microsoft had some brilliant updates on things. But we will be back live on Tuesday, bright and early, at 9 a.m. for the Nintendo Direct.
Phew.
Nintendo usually brings the fire with their directs, so that should be beautiful. The Treehouse Live happens afterwards. I don't think we'll stream through the whole thing, but that is where they usually will play a chunk, like for, I think that the Treehouse Live is like for 3 hours after.
Oh, wow.
And they play each, like, chunks of the games they just had revealed, you know, so that's pretty cool to, like, see a reveal and then see them play it right after. And then there's the Bandai Namco presentation. They have the potential to showcase some big stuff. They have just so many games on their label. IGN, no thanks.
Excuse me.
And then the GameSpot Play for All showcase, which seems to be another, that could be like the Future Game Showcase, which we really liked today. So we'll check that out. at the very least. And if we get a sense that nothing's really happening, we'll bail.
Yeah.
Later that night, there will be the official E3 2021 awards show. Curious to see what that manifests as, but I'm not exactly excited for it. Yeah, no, Bamco has some... There's a huge potential there, just like Capcom. There's a ton of potential. We'll see what they're actually going to show. But yeah, so you'll not be seeing us on stream, but if you keep your eyes on Video Games Are Good, the blog URL is videogamesgood.com. You will be able to see all of our reactions to things going on throughout the week. And yeah, it's been fun. It feels like because we're skipping tomorrow and Tuesday's going to be the last thing. It feels like, we're coming in on the ending here, and it's getting sad, but we're excited nonetheless for what the rest of the week holds. And then after E3 wraps up, you're going to be able to play a bunch of stuff at the Steam Next Fest, which Gabe Newell so excitedly talked about during... That was another thing I think that deflated so many people. It's because they said Gabe Newell of Valve is coming to the PC gaming show with an announcement. And people were like, oh my god, like what's going to happen? What are they going to announce? There was rumors of them working on a Switch type device for PC games, There was rumors of like bringing some Valve games over to consoles. There was all kinds of stuff. And then he's like, hey, check out all those demos next week. It was like...
Which isn't an announcement. We
knew it was coming. It was cool to see. It was cool to see some of the games that there will be demos of. They like kind of did like a highlight reel, right?
Yeah.
But it is deflating.
Bad move.
You don't say a legend like Gabe Newell's coming to your show and not say exactly what he's gonna do, because then everyone's gonna speculate.
Yeah.
The biggest things. So.
Just gonna let people down.
But on the whole, a good day. Microsoft came out really strong. Future game show was really good. PC game show was okay. Yeah, good day. Fun day. One game of the whole day for you. What is it?
I can't even remember back to the first showcases before our break, to be totally honest.
There's got to be one game that stuck with you.
I mean, first thing that comes to mind is Silt, just because I've seen it twice and I can remember it.
I'll say...
For the second half of the day, I guess I would give it to Silt. Well, I mean, no. Second half of the day, I would give it to Immortality.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, yeah. I think you could see in the way we talked about it here at the end, where like, it really sparked us in a big way. So beyond that, I will say that a quick shout out to, like, runners up will be 12 Minutes and Psychonauts 2. Like, they're games that I will be playing very soon. So, I'm not getting too excited about it. But the one I do want to point out as a super exciting one. And here, I think this one should be yours. But it's up to you.
Can't read your notes.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
My one is gonna be Somerville.
Yeah,
that was the family
really interested in that.
Cinematic platforming, trying to get away from some alien invasion chaos. It just looked really good. Like, it looked so good that I thought it was from this really amazing developer, Playdead, which worked on Inside and Limbo. Like, I thought it was that good. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on Somerville moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Somerville, Slime Rancher 2.
Yeah. That was just
something that, like, I never would have expected. Like, yeah. I kind of didn't even expect a second one ever.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then, like, when is it coming? 2022?
I think so.
So, yeah, that was, like, something I didn't know that I needed or wanted.
And see, that's so perfect, again, for Xbox keeps blowing us out of the water with the Game Pass stuff. That's an excellent game to reveal and be like, hey, by the way, Slime Rancher 1 is on Game Pass. Go check it out.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would also shout out Redfall.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
yeah.
'cause that
100%. Yeah. Redfall is, I think, Somerville, Redfall, and Immortality. I forgot what it was called. Are the games to like remember from today. And you know what? Honorary. If that could be my article, could be like one big game from each event to like keep an eye on. Honestly, I want to give, I feel like it's like getting brushed under the rug a little bit, and I think it could be actually be really good, and I want to shout it out and make sure it continues to stay in people's minds, because it's big. It's a big brand, and I don't know, it already feels like it's leaving my brain a little bit, and I want to keep it in there. Guardians of the Galaxy looked really cool.
Yeah, it did.
It looked really cool, and I think since we went so hard on Marvel's Avengers for being bad, I want us to go so hard in celebrating Guardians of the Galaxy actually looking good. Like, I want them to feel that love, and so, Guardians of the Galaxy, good on ya. You did it. You kept it alive. But yeah, the last thing I'll leave us here with is, on the bottom of the screen, we got the official E3 2021 awards show. I think this is something I'm kind of springing on Fern as well. I don't think we're going to stream it or anything, but I think we should do some fun awards for VGG's first E3 coverage.
You pitched me that.
Yeah. And I think we get a little cheeky with it too.
Oh boy.
So we'll brainstorm some good award ideas, and you can expect that by I'm gonna say Wednesday as our wrap up post as well for the whole of E3. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Today was a pretty good day too. I'm always transparent about it. Numbers were pretty good at one point today. We were sitting at a nice average about 7. We got after the break. I think some folks just said, okay, I'm done with the game news today. But that's fine. And we still had our dedicated viewers out here. Kat showed up. Raggle Muffin's been with us pretty much all day.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's just, again, we said it yesterday. We've said it a few times. It's just been fun to sit and watch these things with Fern.
Permalert.
With chat. And it's good times. Well, you know what?
It's excellent to have you here.
I will take it, Raggle Muffin. I will take it. But yeah.
It's just nice to share the excitement with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to rag on games.
Exactly at the same time, the disappointment and the meme. If actually, before we leave today, we have to hit everybody with this. We're gonna play a clip here, and then we're gonna say goodbye for the day. As in, like, the clip ends, I will cut off the stream. So yeah, thanks again to everybody for coming out today. It was a fun time. We love y'all. We'll be back on Wednesday, Tuesday, not Wednesday. I've been literally constantly one day ahead.
He can't get it right.
This whole week.
Cannot get back into the correct time.
I'm in the future.
You're in another time zone.
I've been typing so much that I hit 88 miles per hour, and I went into the future, and I don't realize it. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out, and thank you all so much for checking out the site this week. It's been pretty cool. E3 coverage will end with the awards show, like the actual event coverage, but I think through all of the Steam Game Fest, we will have mini previews going up for games we think deserve an extra shout out. That were, I think at this point, there's got to be at least 200 games that have been shown at E3 so far this year.
I'm sure it's more than that.
Wholesome had 75 alone.
The first day had like 60 total between the two events.
Yeah, and then Wholesome came out with 75. You're right. So there's probably like 300, 400 at this point.
Possibly.
And so, we want to make sure some of these don't get missed. So, for example, we already have a mini preview up for Frog Song, which you should check out. It's a fun little Zelda game. And yeah, thanks again for people checking out the site, for people checking out the stream. It's been fun. It's been great. Fern, you have any last words?
I second all of that.
Ditto, says Fern.
Ditto.
And because I hate you all, I leave you with this clip. Good night. Have a good time. Take care of yourselves.
Mwah.
Goodbye.
I'm here to kill chaos. Looks like chaos has been waiting for us. Want to kill chaos.
You sure chaos is here?
This is the Shrine of Chaos. Chaos. We're here to kill chaos.
I become chaos.